producing Senior Director, Miss Susan Manuello. Welcome to the call. It is such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for your time. I need to ask
There
you
we
to
go. There
there
we
we go. Let me
go.
pin you. Let me pin you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. That was quite the welcome. You're making me feel very special.
Well, today's interview, it's an interview, okay, not a
Yes.
training, but today's interview is going to be more about your journey, your story, all the way from the beginning, how you find direct sales. And the whole point of these interviews is so that the viewer, when they watch this, right, they can get the transfer of emotion that people from all walks of life can do it as long as you just focus, have a little grit, a little bit of thick skin, and you can succeed. And when I think of Susan Manuello, she is the prime example of like the American dream. If you just put a little focus, you can do it, right? And she's leading the charge in the beauty business. And outside of the beauty business, she's a part of the beauty industry. So, we like to know your story. So tell us your story. How did everything unfold for you? Like tell us, tell us your background, your family, and how you got into, cheerleading. I know you got into network marketing prior, but just share a little story with us, like how all this unfolded. Everyone wants to know.
Oh, well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to kind of take you guys back a little ways to I grew up on a farm. My dad is a rancher farmer, second generation Italian American, and very proud to be, my grandparents are very, very proud that they got their family to the US. So anyway, we settled in Colorado and growing up, I had a love for dance. It's definitely in my family. And so then in high school that turned into cheerleading. So that's kind of how I got into cheerleading. I have two older sisters and they were, cheerleaders. But in my small town, it was kind of a super small town, Northeast Colorado. The cheerleaders were not taken very seriously. So the young Susan was like, so thank you for saying I'm a visionary because that means a lot to me because
Which you are,
I had a
which you are.
vision. Well, thank you. I had a vision back then because I used to watch the national dance competitions and the national cheerleading competitions on ESPN. And I had this dream that someday I was going to be one of those, competitive cheerleaders. But in small town Sterling, Colorado, it was like they were practicing, in the lobby at the high school in their regular school clothes. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, we should be taken seriously. So when I got to high school, I was on a mission to change the cheerleading program at Sterling High School. And luckily, as God would have it, there was a friend that was actually placed there. The Angels sent her from Grand Junction High School to Sterling High School my freshman year. And I went up to her and I was like, are you a cheerleader? Because I knew they had an amazing program. And she totally started crying because she was so mad at her parents for moving her to Sterling. And I said, don't worry, girl, we're going to change the program here. And by my senior year, we were competitive. We placed second in state competition. We went to nationals, and we did the thing. And so I had a love for that very early on, and that carried on to in college. I did a little bit. I wasn't on a competitive team in college actually, but a friend of mine told me that she was auditioning for the Denver Bronco cheerleaders, and I was like, "Oh, tell me more." And
Wait,
so,
wait, wait. Okay, keep going, keep going.
so anyway, I decided to, yeah,
Woo! There she is.
this is awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm very, very humble right now.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
have so many questions for you. Right? Tell us your
Okay.
story because I got questions about this.
Okay. Well, I can stop anytime, but I just was gonna say that was kind of the start of the love for dance and cheerleading. But I will say, when it comes to career wise, I again, my two older sisters, we did not come from a very affluent family, and they were hard workers in high school. I watched them both have part-time jobs. One of my sisters had like a paper route in the morning. And I was like, ooh, I don't want to do that. Love you guys, but I don't want to do that. So I started my own business, my very first business at 15 years old, because I noticed that all of the communities that were a part of Northeastern Colorado didn't even like we didn't have a very good cheerleading program, but they really didn't. And so I actually started a cheerleading camp business when I was 15 years old. And over
Wow.
the summers would go and coach and do camps for cheerleaders in the surrounding areas. And then that gave me money for the rest of the year, so I didn't have to work while I was doing school.
A natural born entrepreneur.
I didn't know it at the time, but yes, yes, that's true.
Find a way or make. Okay, so take us through this journey. What led up to you actually becoming a Bronco cheerleader, like Colorado Bronco cheerleader? Like, I mean, this is the iconic Broncos, right? Like, this is, tell me the story. Like,
Well, it really was a friend of mine. I mean, she's in this picture in this camp.
ladies and gentlemen, you hear that? A friend of hers. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, referral based marketing, right? Because I actually, I knew about it, but not really. And so my friend Morgan, she's so cute. She's in this picture, and she said, "I'm auditioning for the Denver Bronco cheerleaders." It was like she was like a few weeks away, and I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, I have a dance background and cheerleading background. Like that sounds like fun. What do I need to do?" Little did I realize they were coming. I mean, I knew they were coming off the double Super Bowls because I auditioned in '99, but it was a total miracle that I made it. But yeah, it was definitely one of the best decisions that I've ever made. And there's a lot to that story, but I'll stop.
So your story is similar to mine, right? It's like I wasn't a professional musician. It was more like the willingness to give it a shot, taking a chance on myself, and then figuring it out as you go and not quitting on yourself, right? So let
Mhm.
me ask you, so for how long were you a Bronco cheerleader?
3 years.
3 years. So what was that like? Like, what's the life like?
Well, and I love that you brought that up, Chris, because I was not the best dancer. I was not. I think that I auditioned at the right time. I had some grit, like you said. I had I had enough skill, of course, but um, it also taught me that you don't have to be the best dancer. Like there's girls in that picture that were way more skilled than me, but I brought different things to the table. And
This is the prime example. 99% of success is just showing up.
it is, it
That's
is.
the same for me. Like when I used to do music, I would always say there's like the God-given talent that like makes you have goosebumps, and then there's the people that have potential and they work their tail off and make it, right?
Hmm.
So there's
And
not
that's the
always
same.
one way.
Yeah, it's the same in this business for sure too. And to learn and to be coachable. And I think that that's one thing, being a part of the Denver Broncos organization, if you're a sponge, you can pick up a lot of things because you're surrounded by a championship mentality. And
Yeah.
that is the number one thing I took away from being involved. Pat Bolin was the owner. We had been Super Bowl champs 2 years in a row, and he was all in on
Yeah.
building the Denver Broncos as a championship, brand. So I got to be a part of that, legacy of his, and he was very passionate about having a very respectable cheerleading program because years before, there was kind of a few different franchises that tried to come in and create it, but he actually started the Denver Bronco cheerleaders. Now it's been almost 35 years ago. So
Wow. So did you get a chance to meet Eli Manning during your time?
no, and Peyton
Got it.
Manning was definitely one of my favorites,
But
but
he came in after, right? Like little shortly after you retired.
he did. So I I auditioned when I was so young. I was in my early 20s. It was
You look young in this picture, dude. Like
yeah.
baby Susan here.
Baby Susan. Yeah, so 1999 was my very first year. So you've got my calendar cover. I was December that year.
Wow. So let me ask you this. When you perform in the stadium, how many people are in the bleachers? Like literally.
I believe at our stadium here it's like 75,000.
So performing in front of 75,000, what is that like?
A rush. But you know a lot
Okay.
about that.
Okay, the biggest stage I did was 30,000 at the in Seoul in the Olympic Stadium. It wasn't my concert. It was like a group of famous artists all like doing a big concert. But I've done 30,000, but you 75,000, man. Can you hear the music when they're roaring?
Oh, for sure. We have to hear it or else we would look like sillies. But yes. No, you hear it. And I mean, my very first game, I mean, you're the rookies, and they're very good. It's kind of like in our business, right? You've got people who've come before you. They have
Yep.
that confidence, that experience, that belief, and they grab your hand and they just, because you're like this in the back and you've practiced, like you've done the dances, but it's still so much different when you're out there and without those ladies leading the way, like no way, I would not have been able to do it. But I have the most hilarious story. I don't even know if I should share this.
Share it. Let's go.
It just popped into my head, but early 20s, I'm like doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. I was such a small town girl, you guys. Like I was like, this was so fish out of water, but I had to like hike up the bras and do all the things. And I wore ladies, you're gonna die, but you know what I'm talking about. We used to call them like chicken cutlets, Chris. This is so hilarious, but they like, they press up the breasts, and I had them in because like they used to work, and I did not think about the fact it was a hot fall day. You're dancing, and halfway through, this girl I'll never forget. She was alumni girl, and she was like, her name was Renee. She's like, Susan, and I'm like, what? She's like pointing, and they had like come up to here. It was hilarious and embarrassing all at the same time. I like ran.
Wardrobe malfunction.
Yes,
We've
wardrobe
had our fair share of
malfunction.
that as performers on stage as well.
Yeah,
It's just a part of
it was like rookie
performing.
mistake, like the biggest rookie mistake, but we laughed about it, for 3 years. It was, and we still
So
tell the story, obviously.
let me change gears here because it's a very glamorous spotlight life. Like it's not the same, but similar to what a recording artist would go through, right? Now, I'm gonna ask you a very vulnerable question, okay?
Okay.
When it came time to leave your post at the Bronco cheerleading position, when it was the time to leave, like what was that like for you? Like the real feeling of like departing.
I love that question. And even just talking about this, like this is so fun because I don't get to like, relive this very often. So thank you. But yeah, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. Like, after you've been in that spotlight. And with this, mostly on a local level. We also did so much charity work and appearances and got so involved in the community. And, when I made the decision not to audition my fourth year, which to be honest, it was a really tough decision for me. My mortgage career was starting to take off. I was really unsure if I wanted to focus on that or still try to balance everything. And anyway, I definitely went through like that feeling of loss. It was sad. It was sad to lose. On one hand, I had my time back, but on the other hand, it was like, oh, like I didn't get to sign autographs anymore. Like what the
Like
heck just happened?
a totally different chapter just closing, right?
Right.
So was it a bittersweet moment for you?
Oh, for sure. Because you can't do it forever,
Mhm.
but you know,
Same
it's
thing as being a celebrity, right?
yep, 100%.
Now, there's a sentiment I want to share with you. It's probably you and I felt this in our own paths. But like, like when you go from, because like a cheerleader is like a celebrity too. It's a showmanship business, it's a performing business. And to switch gears, you just brought up briefly that your mortgage career was starting to take off. And I remember when we first met, you had said you're still connected in the mortgage industry, you're still a part of that, you're actively still building that side. But obviously, there comes a transitional crossroad in one's career when it comes time. And it's not even like your own decision, it's just a season of your life that gives you a calling to change tracks or switch gears, right? And I think that happened for me too, like how a season will change in your life, right? And like, when what I learned was some of my hardest times, even in my business career, Tim Herr was with me. We went through, me and him, the reason why we're good friends and we've been partners so long is because we went through hell and kept going and back together. You know what I mean? We went through a lot of hardships together. And I remember just staying in the game. What he said to me was, when one door closes, you have to have the awareness and foresight to go looking for the other seed of greater benefit or opportunity of a door opening when one door closes. You have to have awareness to go look for that. But most are devastated, still dwelling in the past of what could have been, right? And he said, the smartest person is the person that goes looking for the new open door quickly. And I feel like you and I have very similar trajectories, right? Because leaving that kind of a spotlight life wasn't probably easy for you,
True.
right? And to give that up takes a big decision, big discipline to change things up. And you're literally like throwing away your current identity, looking to be a new person, right? Like a new identity. Tell me what that journey was like for you going through a transition, because a lot of people here, when they come to direct sales, network marketing is a newfound hope for them. You know what I mean? But all too soon, all too many people, before their potential is recognized or realized, they quit before that actual happening happens, right? So can you kind of go through your journey of what that feeling was like, your transition, and what seeing two different worlds, what that was like?
Sure. If I think I understand your question, it's really that transition of going from, again, being in that spotlight, having this community to what's next, you know? And I think that for me, I've always trusted in God and God's plan and that I'm divinely guided. And I didn't have those words back when I was in my early 20s, but I always had that knowing that I was gonna be okay and that this was gonna be something that could, and all the things that I learned so much during those 3 years of performing. And like I said, being a part of the organization because we were more than just dancers, you know. It was definitely different than just being a performance team. But yeah, the transition into kind of the land of the unknown, I think I knew, gosh, it's hard to even reflect on some of it, but I would say I just knew that it was like gonna lead me to some better opportunities. And I think that applies at any age for anybody. Like I really believe that.
So the mortgage is like was a good transition. Now, what everybody's probably curious about now is, how did you become a beauty queen? Now, how did this all unfold? We need to know, like, how did Miss Colorado, how did that all unfold? Because obviously, whether it's Denver Broncos, doing beauty, doing a beauty queen, you have a calling to be in the showmanship business, obviously. Like you have a calling. Um, and I feel like that's why you're probably here in Riman as well. But like, how did this journey unfold, and how did this all happen?
Well, I would say I have to take you back a little bit because I was doing Miss Colorado in the Miss USA organization
Wait,
the
how did that happen though? Like from cheerleading.
the year before I became a Bronco cheerleader.
So you got into the beauty industry before cheerleading.
I did. My sister is to blame.
Yes. Isn't she a beauty queen as well?
Yes. So it's in my family a little bit. Like even so my mom was very involved in the Miss Colorado America organization. She was actually one of the directors when Miss Colorado won Miss America. So, but that was back before I was born. And then, so my oldest sister was around a lot of that. And then, growing up, she was the one that had the love for the pageant. So I'll make this part very quick, but I did do a pageant when I was 17 and I didn't like it. I did not like it. I didn't like I didn't like being on stage. I didn't like it. It's so interesting. And so I think it was just the time. But as I got a little bit older, my sister started competing more and more. And I met this really amazing lady, third party, right? Her name was Gina Davecchio. She was amazing. She was from the South, and her and my sister became friends. And she was the one who, third party, said to me what my sister had been saying for years that I needed to try it again and try the USA system. And so, anyway, I did, and I coached with her. I think that was a huge difference. She brought so much knowledge. She, taught me the discipline of consistency and how to work on my confidence. And there's not a performed talent in the Miss USA competition. And so I was more comfortable with that because even though I was a dancer and I just, it's just so interesting. But anyway, so I competed in the Miss Colorado USA pageant in 1998 and won the
Wow.
title of Miss Colorado USA in 1999. So that was my year of, and I competed in Miss USA. And fun fact, the Backstreet Boys performed during our swimsuit competition. It was on NBC.
So that's how you became a Bronco cheerleader. When they knew you were Miss Colorado, they pretty much walked you on, huh? Because you already just had,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, life isn't fair, unfortunately. And, if you're a beauty queen,
Still
you
had
can
to,
walk
I
on
still
to
had
the
to know how
Bronco
to dance.
cheerleading organization.
Yeah. I definitely still had to know how to dance. But that's what I was saying. I wasn't the best dancer. I definitely wasn't, but I brought other things to the table. So
So
that,
tell us about
yes,
this Miss
led
Classique
me to this.
Globe, this competition that you recently did. I know this was recent. You won. Congratulations.
Thank
Everybody
you.
threw up a one in the chat box congratulating our Miss Susan for winning Mrs. Classique Globe of 2026. So explain to us what this actually is.
Thank you
I
too.
know you've been
Thank you.
in the industry for a while, but you just recently did it this year. Please explain what this competition was all about.
Okay, so that was, but thank you for all the ones. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thanks for all the love. I love you back. Um, so I competed in 2019 in the Mrs. Globe organization. And again, my sister has been highly involved. She won Mrs. Globe
By the
Classic.
way, your sister's gorgeous too.
Thank you.
Met several times.
She is in 2017 she won that world title. And so anyway, I did not see myself doing the misses, but it was an opportunity to get involved to, I do see I always saw how passionate she was about it because this organization is very different than the ones I've done before. They have a very philanthropic mission. They have a WIN Foundation tied to the Globe Pageant, which stands for Women in Need, and it's for women and individuals who are coming out of narcissistic abusive situations. They have what's called Reclaiming Me classes. So when you're a title holder, you are also an ambassador for the nonprofit. And I loved that. So I got involved in 2018, competed in 2019 in China, in Shenzhen, China. And it was an incredible opportunity. I loved it. I met women from all over the world. Some of them are still my really dear friends. And I thought that was where my journey was going to end. But then, of course, it started up again this year. I had the opportunity to represent USA as the Classic Globe for USA. So, what that meant was I was able to step into that for reasons we don't need to discuss. But anyway, I got to represent that title and compete in the global competition that happened just a few weeks ago on June 20th in Palm Springs, California. And I won the world title, Choice of the People. So it's pretty
Amazing.
amazing. I'm very, thank you. I'm
Congratulations. All
very
right.
excited. It's going to be a
Okay.
year of just, yeah, representing the brand and also, bringing some K beauty into the world too.
Yes. No, no, here's the $1 million question, okay? Now, living that kind of life, right? I'm sure like, by the time you got into mortgage, you were making a lot of money because at that time, that's when mortgages were hot, the industry was booming. And then you're a Denver Bronco cheerleader, and then now you're a beauty pageant queen. From all of that, what led into network marketing? Tell me your journey, your thought process, your initial first impression of network marketing, what you felt, feel, felt, found. Explain all of that because the people on the call here today, we all know at one point in time, we were all skeptical, negative, doubtful, but in the back of our mind and heart, we were slightly hopeful, right? Walk us through that. So, like, your story is very similar to mine, a very flashy, you know, flamboyant life, and then you end up in network marketing. Tell me what that journey was like for you.
Well, I think yeah, you and I definitely parallel with some of the things that we resonate with in network marketing, for
Definitely.
sure, for sure. But on the grassroots side, I saw an opportunity to have my like something of my own that
Yes.
I could really use like all these experiences that I had, all these people that I met, and somehow connect the two together
Mm,
without having to find something like my own startup. Like that felt so out of reach for me. And I just loved it. I mean, honestly, the very first time I was ever pitched was with Amway. I had some neighbors that were doing Amway, the grandfather of all network
good
marketing.
old Amway.
Yes,
Amway, I would consider Amway the godfather of our industry.
that's what I call it,
And
the
we're all byproducts
grandfather.
of their success. So, respect and homage where it's due. Yeah.
That's right. And I got involved because when I saw it, I just was like, wow, my parents had that soap when I was growing up. And I just thought, why isn't everyone doing this? This like skips the middleman. I immediately saw that it took out corporate that corporate aspect, even though, it was 2004 when I first saw the business model. But I had gone to college, I had gotten my degree, I started working in corporate and some outside sales positions. But I kind of felt stuck because I was like, I had that entrepreneurial spirit that I just shared with all of you, at such an early age. And my dad was an entrepreneur, with farming and ranching. And
And you started thinking you're destined for more.
I did. I just
Yeah.
knew that there was something more that I wanted to do. And I loved the fact that I could actually help other people, and I think again that was instilled with Broncos and with pageants, it's a little bit more like your individual, not so much with the Globe, but definitely in Miss USA, you're kind of out on your own.
Yeah.
But for sure with Broncos, it was about a community and women helping women, and I just loved that, and that's what I saw in network marketing. And I also saw the opportunity to grow and to truly like learn new things and stretch yourself and yeah, not just stay stagnant. And I loved that.
Can you tell the audience your first rodeo in Amway? What was the single most important thing you learned about being a network marketer or leader? What did you learn? What was the one thing takeaway as from that company that you learned? Because
Yeah.
obviously you're gonna grow in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I learned how important a community is and culture, really, like helping one another and showing up. So maybe two things. But I will say, I did build a very small business in Amway, but for 9 months I went to their trainings and conferences, and I always say it was like I went back to school for network marketing. I got my education and that base of knowledge. I wouldn't trade that for anything. But then, that was 2004. Gosh, 2004. And then fast forward, I didn't really get involved again until 2012.
Gotcha. So what was that like? But from my understanding, you still always stayed within the beauty realm, right?
Yes, it was a girlfriend of mine who
Beauty pageant and beauty products is kind of like, it's kind of like peanut butter and jelly, it's like that's your thing already.
I did take a detour to health and wellness, and thank goodness I did, or else I wouldn't have met you and Tim.
Yes,
But
yes.
um, but yeah, I mean, I loved the skincare part of this industry. That was what I really went for in 2012. I was in a skincare company that, was newer to the US, and I just loved it. I loved the opportunity to share what was working for me with other people. And I really didn't, I took a detour like we just talked about in health and wellness. But I got to be honest, like it was just daunting. Like I love skincare. I love that with Riman, it's like we are just the walking advertisements. We don't have to explain all the things and all that,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about so many other
One
aspects.
thing I learned in nutrition, the commitment is hard because the person themselves have got to want it that bad in order to do it, right? You can't drag across somebody across the start line and the finish line. And then, results take a while,
Yep.
So And then, it's hard to maintain and keep going consistently when there's nothing but Chick-fil-A and McDonald's around you, like for
Totally.
yourself. You know what I mean? But when it
But we
comes
all like to wash our face and
exactly
moisturize our
when it
skin.
comes to skincare, it's more of a necessity, right? Everybody
Right.
washes their face, everybody shampoos their hair. It's already something you're spending money on anyway. Now, with that said, so you were in the beauty business, so you built a whole foundation up until to get you ready for now. So tell me, like when you first came upon Riman, you started Riman, you decided to do Riman, and the moment the decision was made in your head, right? Like, can you walk our audience through that? Like from the moment you met it, like what you felt when you first came upon Riman, what made you made the decision, and what was the deciding factor for you to just go all in and never look back? Like, what was that like? Share with us.
Yeah. I mean, I think again, from this conversation and it's sure from the outside in, it looks like I had all this success and da da da, but all successful people, at least that I know, they have highs and lows just like everybody. And
Season.
yes, and I did. I was having a low moment right before Riemann crossed my path, and I'm so grateful that it did because I needed Riemann more than Riemann needed me, I think.
I
Um,
think we all did.
yeah, I needed you guys for sure. Just quickly, my mom had been going through a lot. She'd lost her husband of 30 years and her health started taking a turn. And it'll be 3 years ago in August, actually. So we're almost on the anniversary. And so from August to when my friend called me, the very end of October is when my friend called me about Remon. But in that time, I'd pretty much had to step away from my job to fully take care of my mom, and her health. And so I was tired. I was not as hopeful. I was feeling pretty sad and had been discouraged about some things. The mortgage business had started to shift. And so I was also seeing the markets change and worried about 2024, because it was the end of 2023. And so, yeah, there was just a lot going on in my life that was feeling a little discouraging. And so when I got the call, it's interesting because like from 2020, well, yeah, from 2020 to 2023, I had done a little bit in network marketing, but not full on like I had done in the past. I kind of had stepped away from it a little bit. And so when I got the call, I was a little bit like, well, I don't know. Like I wasn't all in yet. And but there was something about the products. When I started using the products, and this, I know I'm not alone. I just had this feeling, the same feeling I had in 2012 when I partnered with that first one. It was like, this is going to be big with or without Susan Manuello. And so, why not take a chance on myself? Why not see what's on the other side of saying yes, even though I was tired, even though I was feeling a little hopeless, not sure I was going to have the time. And also, you're also in that point of like, how much time can I put towards this? And will it take off versus I should focus on my mortgage stuff? But there was just that gnawing like, oh, like this is going to be big. And that's when, I called you and Tim, and I was like, I need to come out there. I need to meet with you guys. I knew that there was going to be um, a lot for me that I could discover in that conversation. And I was obviously at that point very much aligned and in. And that's when we started
Okay.
running. It was like
Well,
end of
that was the
December.
turning point.
Yeah,
That
it
I
was.
remember the turning point. We met at LAX, right? And we're like, we're
Yes.
gonna do this. Now, let me ask you this. Now, you're one of the fastest senior directors in North America. You're like one of the OG founding senior directors. Like, I mean, massive momentum right out the gates. Like you have by far one of the most successful teams in the United States here today. Here's what I want to ask you. It's like, can you walk the audience through like the moment you started seeing massive momentum? It was like a calm before the storm, right? We had some Zooms we did. We met with some industry leaders that we mutually knew. We were trying to get this thing off the ground. But can you explain the moment your business started taking flight? I'm talking like momentum, like holy moly, like can you walk? Because one thing I want to share tonight on the call is you don't have to be a superstar. Like you don't it's not really matter who you are. It's just finding the right person at the right time. When you find the right person, all it takes is one or two persons that know the right people that will just completely change the face of your organization. And we saw that firsthand. Can you walk the audience through what it was like when you got your first boom of momentum coming out the gates in Riman?
Oh my goodness. Well, I would say, it started to happen pretty quickly.
Guys, from planner to senior director, like parabolic, okay, guys?
It did start happening really, really quickly. And every single
Wait,
time,
wait, 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 wait.
oh,
She hit senior director so fast, she was sorry to hit it. Like she felt bad. She's like, do I have to apologize to people? She wanted us to hide it, okay, guys? All right.
stop it. You're so funny. Um, but that's the thing with our industry. It's like that makes me feel really wonderful and amazing, but it was not me, it was my team. It's always my team. And some of you are on here and I love you and you're incredible. And that was the thing that I started seeing is like, gosh, I knew that when I started sharing this with people, they were like texting me, calling me, sharing their photos, like, this is amazing. And I knew that that was going to spread like rapidly as
Like
soon as I could
snowball.
get it out into the hands of other people that even had bigger networks than me. So, I mean, I'll never forget when we brought on somebody and like she had like 30 planners, like just from a one post, right? So when you asked me like when did I know? That was a moment. It was in January. I was like, "Oh, this
Isn't
is
it
gonna be
scary
great."
though? A person's intuition gnawing at you,
Yeah.
and then a month later that happens,
Yeah, it
right?
is.
Like your soul foresaw these things, right? So in closing, here's what I do want you to share. Okay. So in the end, can you share with people tonight, like why it's worth it, why it's worth waiting for that breakthrough, what mindset you must have to find that one breakthrough?
Well, I've had several mentors talk about deck of cards. And if you've ever heard a training on that, you're just flipping over cards. And how many aces are in a deck of cards? Four. And that you're going to find some jacks and you're going to find some tens and you're going to find some amazing people, but it takes four aces to really go the distance. And but there's 52 cards in a deck. So what if you give up on card 20? You know, that's what happens if you don't go like all in and stay the course. And there's going to be ups and downs in your business just like there are in life, but Riman has my heart. I love this community. I love our culture. I love that we have the best products on the planet, and our innovation is like nothing I've ever seen. And this company is gonna go the distance. So why wouldn't we bet on ourselves and go the distance with the company? And so, um, that's what I would say is just, and that's advice for myself too. Like I'm flipping cards right now also. So we're in this together. And I know that if you do that, you're going to have amazing businesses and careers for a really long time with Rewan.
Amazing. So the call to action and the key here is never stop until you find your four aces, ladies and gentlemen. Time and time again, like the faces are different, the stories are different, but the method is always the same. People from all walks of life coming together, going on the same journey. Miss Susan Manuello, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It is people like you, people like us, anybody from all walks of life have a unique story, and it all that matters is just a decision away and possibly a good work ethic. So, with that said, I want to thank everybody for participating. Before we close out, I want to share one last time as a call to action for our July promo, just so you guys know. So remember, this month is the perfect month to get your brand new planner to senior manager and get them paid out their first faith check. The $300 faith check, it's not going to pay a mortgage. Maybe it could pay a car payment. Maybe it could pay a cell phone bill, but it's going to play a bigger role. It's going to give a brand new person conviction that this works and they can use this as a vehicle to get where they want to go. So remember, make sure you guys take advantage for call to action for the senior manager bonus of July. How you qualify, again, start as a new planner during the month of July, achieve senior manager within 30 days of your enrollment date, and the person that goes senior manager is going to get $300 fast start bonus, and the sponsor that frontline sponsored them and helped them is going to get a $200 bonus payout as well. So remember, for this month, let's make sure we take action on the senior manager bonus. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Miss Susan, Manuello, thank you for your special time, your time investment pouring into everybody tonight. We want to thank you. We will see you on the next Zoom call. I believe it is Monday, the next opportunity call, and the next Riman Revealed and orientation calls. We will see you soon. God bless. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. We love you guys. Team 1%. We will see you at the top. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody. See you soon.